agenda. Any additions or corrections or anything anybody sees?
See, I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as published.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Three members here present. Did you get a chance to read the minutes? Did you approve it?
Yes.
Yeah, that looks square to me.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as they are.
Okay.
One second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Everybody get a chance to look at the financial report? John, do you want to bring anything up on yours,
On the financial report,
on the one you passed out?
oh, yeah, that'll be when we come to the bills, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Feiser, construction report.
Good evening, everyone. Got a few items to go over this evening. First, on the runway project, we're still waiting on the closeout for AIP 21. It's still in review by the FAA. This time of year, they're busy getting new grants out, so their canned response is they do not have time to review closeouts on the old ones. So we're still waiting on that. Hopefully we have it next month. There's not a whole lot of leverage we have to get them to push that forward. On your land acquisition grant for fiscal year 24, your MPE grant, that has been received. We got the wet ink signatures on that and returned that back to the FAA. So I do have a board action item here to submit your AIP 23 pay request 1 final. I'm for some reason not going in order. This is actually the third action item in the list I have here. So that's pretty easy. It's a one and done pay request since it's reimbursement of land. So the total amount is the $150,000 federal grant plus the 5% local match of $16,666.67. The NDOT, the state purchase order hasn't been loaded yet, so that's not in there. They'll pay their 5% share once that purchase order is loaded. And again, this just reimburses land expenses. So it's pretty straightforward. Looking for board action to submit AIP 23, pay request 1 final for FAA reimbursement.
I'll make a motion that we do just that, pay request pay for AIP 23, pay request 1 for that final payment.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Okay, perfect. The other three action items are related to the C2 Jet Apron project. That bill grant was also received and signed by the bill here. So that one has been accepted by the airport board. So we're going to move forward with that project. I had a meeting with the contractor, Paul Rowe Company, yesterday to discuss funding timeline and schedule for the project and when they would receive the notice of award. And they are pretty flexible on schedule, it sounds like, and they'll be fine with starting the project in spring of 2025. So the first action item related to that is board action to approve the notice of award for the C2 Jet Apron project to Paul H. Rowe Company in the amount of $562,761.75. And as a reminder, that's for the base bid only.
I'll make a motion that we approve the notice of award to Paul H. Rowe for the $562,761.75.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Okay, the second item here is also for Paul H. Rowe. It's the contract for the project. So the notice of award basically gives them a notice that they're going to be entering into a contract with the airport board, so they go out and get their bonds and insurance for the project. They'll return that to me, and our office will review it and make sure it's in accordance with the specifications in the contract. And if it is, then we'll go ahead and execute the contract, and then that's what moves them forward with doing their submittals for materials and things like that. So the second item is board action to approve the contract for the C2 jet apron project to Paul H. Rowe Company. That's in the same amount, $562,761.75, but it is contingent upon the receipt of the contractor's bonds and certificate of insurance in accordance with the contract documents. So if the board would be interested in going ahead and approving it, then I can execute the contract once I have received and reviewed the bonds and the insurance.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract for the C2 jet apron project to Paul Rowe in the amount of $562,761.75, contingent upon the receipt of the contractor's bonds, certificate of insurance in accordance with the contract documents.
Can you say that again?
No.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Hey, it's attorneys that make us have these long action items, not engineers. So nothing I can do about that one. And then the last action item is for a pay request 1 for that apron grant. That's reimbursement for the design fees for the project. So that would be the BF&S invoices and the IFE that the airport has from our design that we did earlier this year, so we could have the project ready to go and apply for the grant. So pay request 1 is in the amount of $71,728.26 total, and that takes us to 14% of the available $498,000 that you have in that first grant.
You're looking for approval of the partial pay request on that amount of money, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Sorry, it's the last item there. Board action to submit AIP 24, pay request 1 for FAA reimbursement.
Okay. I move that we use that.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Okay, just a couple of other items. Your CIP is due December 1st. The state and the FAA wanted to have a CIP meeting with you guys. That is October 24th, I think.
I believe so.
So next month, for the September meeting, I will bring, for the October meeting, since it's October 3rd, I'll bring a draft of the CIP and we can go over that prior to the CIP meeting.
Okay.
Make sure we have what the board wants to see on there before we sit down and meet with FAA and NDOT.
That's in Indianapolis this year, right?
Yeah, yep, it's at,
State House.
yeah, it's at the, I think they call it the Government Center West or something like that. It's that 10-story building that's just to the west of the State House.
The Aviation Department.
Yeah, it's at NDOT, so I think the room's named after 465 or something like that, but it's, that's
So it's
where the
still in-
NDOT Office of Aviation.
Okay.
It's still under construction then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right, always under construction. Yeah, so that's coming up in October. I'll bring a draft next month. And then just a reminder, the Aviation Indiana Annual Conference is the second week of October in Terre Haute, if anyone was interested in going to that. So
Okay,
that's all I got.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to come up and talk about the budget?
Do I want to talk about the budget? Sure, I can talk about the budget.
Okay.
So if we talk a little bit about this project that you all just approved, one of the things that we're looking at is at this time in the fund, the 6603 fund, there's a little more than double what the local match should be for this project. So what I thought would be the best approach is to keep that money in that fund at this point, even though at some point it will need to go back to Jackson County Bank, but there's plenty coming in that's gonna go to the Jackson County Bank to reimburse that loan. We've got on your docket tonight, there's the $202,000 that was incorrectly reimbursed into the 8817 instead of going back to Jackson County Bank. That's for you to approve this evening. I had told you a couple of months ago that there was also another $10,875 and $11,115 that was also incorrectly reimbursed back in 2020 into the 8817. Instead of doing another additional appropriation this year, I actually updated the budget and just put it into the budget, your 8817 budget for next year. That way, immediately at the beginning of the year, we can make that payment. With those funds, we've got the AIP 21 federal final coming in. We have the AIP 21 state final reimbursement. We have the land grant that we just talked about coming in. We have the state portion of that whenever that gets uploaded. We then have the fiscal year 25 land grant reimbursement coming in as well. And we've also budgeted money into the budget next year for regular payments to the Jackson County Bank loan. That still leaves us with a little over $300,000. So we have to have this paid off by June of 26. So I would highly encourage the board to think about some other earning opportunities, maybe fundraising opportunities. I don't know what that looks like. That's not really on my side of things. That's, but I think there are some creative ways that other airports have come up with some fundraising events, opportunities, whatever those may be. So we just need to kind of keep that in the forefront of our minds as well. We do need this Adjourn project to be able to use this airport. So I'm trying to make that work. But we have to keep this Jackson County Bank loan in the forefront of our minds as far as getting that paid off.
Okay.
Okay. Did you have other questions about the budget, about next year's budget?
One quick question.
Absolutely.
You said we'd have about 300,000 left.
Left to pay off, yes.
Left.
To pay off.
To pay off,
That's
yes.
what I wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Okay.
But that does not include interest payments that come twice a year.
Right.
So the hope is the more we put down on this immediately or as soon as we get the funds, the lower the interest payments are going to be. So hopefully that will not affect us as much.
What's the interest on that, by the way?
3.4%.
Okay, that's good.
Nope.
Did you have a question about the bills?
I did not have a question.
Oh, okay, I thought he said something about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Schreiber.
Well, nothing really big to report. I do have 10 names on the hangar waiting list now. And I may have someone approached me over the phone here in the last couple of weeks about coming in and putting up a row of 10 T hangars and running it as a business up on his own, leasing ground and so on. So he said he needs to get all his facts and figures and stuff together, and he'd like to come to the meeting and make a presentation sometime. So that may be happening, or nothing's guaranteed there either. But that might be a way to go if you wouldn't have to be invested in building hangars to, and also, but I got to keep in mind, I got 10 people on the list, but some have been on there for 3 or 4 years. By the time we get around to calling them, they may have already done something different, and they're no longer interested, so that could be, have some bearing on how many hangars we could actually get rented. But I do believe it's been in the history of the airport since I've been here, you build the hangars, they get filled up pretty quick. So anyhow, kind of be thinking about if this guy does show up and want to do that, if I guess Mr. Trevor already kind of explained, leasing ground, that kind of stuff to you, so you got an idea what would be going on there. So we'll see what happens on that. But other than that, it's kind of business as usual. So,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you. bills. Everybody got a chance to look at them?
And the bills on the spreadsheet are just simply as listed there. And like Amy said, the big one there, we got that large fee we're paying back to there to JCB.
I was just curious, I saw those $954 or something like that, the coning for a drive shaft. Did we break a drive shaft on the mower? or-
The right combination of hills and turns or whatever, one of the lift arms got into the drive shaft, bent it. And it turned out that it was cheaper to buy the whole thing than to buy just the part I wanted.
Sometimes that's true.
He had, I talking to the parts guy, I said, I need the back half of the drive shaft, just the tubular part, so we put it on there. And, probably I'll get a new bearing, you know, universal joint there, you know. And he said, anything else? I said, well, the plastic shield's pretty tore up. And he says, well, I'm up to $1,500, but he says if I buy the whole thing, it's only $950. I said, let's just buy the whole thing.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the bills?
No further discussion. I'll move we pay the bills as listed as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any comments from the board or the audience? If not, I accept the motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned.